Now it's 7 o'clock. Blocked from deployment. A federal judge rules against the Trump administration's attempts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. That goes for the Oregon National Guard, as well as Guard members from any state. The latest coming up in our top story. Conservative influencer Nick Sorter is scheduled for arraignment in Portland later today after he was arrested last week during a protest outside the city's ICE facility. Police, meanwhile, respond to Sorter's accusations of corruption. And we're also going to take a break from the hard news this morning to bring you a little bit of Twiggy. There's Twiggy. Twiggy the water skiing squirrel. All of that, plus Rod's forecast for this Monday coming up here on the 7 o'clock hour of sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Drew Carney. China Green has the morning off, but Chris McGinnis and Rod Hill both on board for this Monday edition of the Sunrise Show. I think a lot of people tune in at the top of the hour and they decide whether or not they want to watch. And as soon as you put that water skiing squirrel on,
they want to watch.
We've got to
go. But I have a question. You often criticize me for asking you things you don't know the answer to. I don't know if you know the answer. Can squirrels swim? Do you know the answer to that? I don't know the answer.
I think it's probably up to the individual squirrel, whether they were provided lessons maybe early in life. And, you know, the earlier you're taught, the better chance you have of actually gaining the skill. I think it really is an individual squirrel situation, Rod.
That is a fair answer, my friend. Thank you. And we're going with that. Here's a look at our Timberline camera. All of my sky cams are clear. They are absolutely gorgeous. Temperature up on the mountain, 42. Part of the story today is an east wind. And it is blowing, gusting to 26 up at Timberline. Winds are being reported as fairly light down along the Columbia River at this hour. Here's the Springs at the Waterfront camera in Vancouver looking back at Mount Hood. It's in the low 40s in Vancouver. Let's see what Chehalem is reporting. 48, the Chehalem Tasting Room camera out there in Sherwood. So a beautiful day. Clear skies all day. East winds in the usual spots. 66 at noon. Yesterday it was 74. Today, 76. Here's Chris.
My goodness, what a forecast, Rod. All right, let's get you out the door. We do have one significant slow spot here early in our Monday morning drive. I-84 westbound. It doesn't actually look that bad here near Lloyd Center, but let's take you out towards the Hollywood district. And you know what? Actually, it's improving from what we had earlier. We had some trouble in the southbound Markham Bridge. That's out of the way, but the drive-in from Troutdale is up a few clicks here, about 30 minutes or so to get you in from Marine Drive to the I-5 split. Highway 26, a little slow coming down the hill from the zoo, and of course the I-5 drive from Clark County in check right now, but 15 minutes get you in from Main Street south to the Fremont Bridge. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. We continue to follow the developing story about the Trump administration's attempts to deploy the National Guard here to Portland. Following an emergency hearing, a federal judge blocked the deployment of Guard members from any state to Portland. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live from the ICE facility near the South Waterfront. So Thomas, it was a busy weekend there. It was a busy weekend in the courts. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, busy weekend all around, Drew. Before we get to that, I want to show you a little bit of what we're seeing over here. This is a crash. You can see maybe police lights. That's completely unrelated to anything happening at the ICE facility in regards to protests. It looks like this is police responding to a little fender bender that happened a few moments ago. So if you see police lights right now outside the ICE facility, not at all related to any protests. Now going back to that ongoing court battle, right? There's a judge, Karen Immerget, who granted a motion for a second temporary restraining order blocking the deployment of National Guard troops from Texas or California. On Saturday, she also issued an order blocking the deployment of Oregon National Guard troops. We do know about 100 California National Guard troops had already arrived to Camp Withicum in Happy Valley. Another 99 were on their way to Oregon yesterday.
What was unlawful yesterday is unlawful today. What was unlawful with the Oregon National Guard is unlawful with the California National Guard.
Now, as California National Guard troops assembled in Oregon, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced plans to mobilize Texas National Guard troops to Oregon and Illinois. President Trump, meanwhile, also doubling down on his claims about Portland.
The politicians are afraid for their lives. That's the only reason that they say, like, there's nothing happening. And you've seen it. The place is burning down and they pretend like there's nothing happening.
In an emergency hearing Sunday night, that Judge Immerget, who was appointed by Trump, asked how the move to send in the National Guard from California and Texas was not an attempt to circumvent her restraining order issued on Saturday. She then issued that restraining order, another one last night, preventing any National Guard deployment to here in Portland.
All right, Thomas, before we let you go here, a lot of people weighing in on this over the weekend. What about city leaders, local leaders like the mayor?
Well, Drew, for weeks now, Mayor Keith Wilson has said that federal troops are not needed in Portland. Here's a little bit more about what he had to say about that last night.
This is yet another unnecessary and inflammatory attempt by the president to deploy outside troops in Portland where no intervention is warranted.
Now, the Trump administration has filed an appeal for an emergency pause of this judge's decision. In that appeal, officials and attorneys from the DOJ say that the judge in this case second-guessed Trump's military judgment. Drew.
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us there this morning outside the city's ICE facility. There were also protests there in South Portland all weekend. A demonstration on Saturday morning began with a rally and a march that led protesters to the facility. KGW's Jay Coulter was there.
I think a lot of people are very scared. A lot of people are very nervous. Sending the military after your own citizens is an egregious act.
Holly Brown helped organize Saturday's anti-ICE protest, which kicked off at Elizabeth Carruthers Park, and says she has been protesting down at the ICE facility many times over the last few months.
The people protesting at ICE are completely peaceful. There are people who are going out there to stand up for their immigrant neighbors, and they are being painted in some press outlets and by Donald Trump as agitators, as people who don't belong here, who are causing violence, and nothing could be further from the truth.
FBI data released Thursday claims they've made 128 arrests since June 9th, but KGW has found that many taken into custody aren't formally charged. Those who have been charged are facing penalties for trespassing all the way up to assault on a federal officer. What do you make of the current characterization of Portland as a sort of war-ravaged place?
If this is war-ravaged, boy, there's a lot of people in the world that want to be here.
We say fight back!
Protesters then marched down to the ICE facility from the park, but were quickly met with force from federal agents. Holly Brown, who we'd interviewed earlier, stepped over the blue line on the ground marking federal property and was seemingly detained by federal agents, as you can see here, along with what looked like at least 2 other people. Moments later, agents deployed tear gas and mace. We also photographed someone who says he was hit by a pepper ball. Much of the crowd dispersed in the immediate aftermath, and KGW did not witness any violence coming from the side of the protesters.
Am I surprised that these fragile men with their big guns and stuff are sitting out here getting joy from shooting civilians? No.
Jay Coulter, KGW News.
All right, so take a look at this video now from just last night. Portland police say they made 2 more arrests near the ICE facility. The first one happened around 8 o'clock last night after someone reported being harassed. The second happened shortly before 10:30 after reports of an assault. Officers say they responded and found a victim with non-life-threatening injuries. There have now been a total of 149 arrests at or near the ICE facility since June. Our news crew working at the facility yesterday said they saw federal officers using pepper balls and tear gas on the crowd. The Portland branch of the FBI says they've made 5 felony arrests between Saturday and Sunday night. During
Indiscriminate use of impact munitions to disperse an otherwise peaceful crowd. Indiscriminately discharging pepper spray. We saw a sniper on the roof of the ICE facility. This is not what we typically look at in crowd control or peaceful protests. This is an aggressive approach trying to inflame a situation that has otherwise been peaceful.
That, of course, was Portland Mayor Keith Wilson during a press conference yesterday talking about the activity that's been happening at the ICE facility. The mayor also claimed that federal officers are trying to antagonize crowds there who he says are otherwise protesting lawfully. Conservative influencer Nick Sorter is scheduled for arraignment this afternoon after getting arrested last week during an ICE facility protest. Sorter was one of 3 people arrested for disorderly conduct last Thursday after Portland police say they saw multiple fights break out. After getting released from jail Friday morning, he took to social media, accusing Portland police of corruption and claiming that they're controlled by Antifa. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she's ordered a full investigation into the Portland Police Department and Sorter's arrest. Portland police, meanwhile, made a series of posts on X about the arrest they made last Thursday night, saying in part, quote, "As with all such situations, arrests are based on observed behavior and probable cause, not political affiliation or public profile. Formal charges will be determined by the district attorney's office. We remain committed to protecting public safety, upholding the rights of all individuals to lawfully assemble, and enforcing the law impartially." All right, break from all those news headlines on this Monday morning for a quick look outside by way of our Timberline Lodge Sky Cam. A look at Mount Hood on this is this the first Monday in October? I believe it is, Rod Hill. So there you go. Still looking pretty brown up there this time of the year.
We have lost, I remember we had that dusting down to about 7,000 feet last week, so you just showed all of that has basically melted away. Let's go out to the Dalles, and there's Mount Hood looking from Wasco County, the Oregon Veterans Home camera, 40 degrees. Wanted to show you the winds are light. It's a clear sky east wind pattern. This does not look to be an overly windy east wind pattern, but we have seen gusts approaching 30 miles per hour in parts of the West Gorge this morning. Again, 40 out in the Dalles. Here, everybody's clear. This is clear skies in the Sisters area from Aspen Lakes Golf Course, and you can see some snow cap on the mountains area. We'll be in the 60s this afternoon in Central Oregon, and there are some spots that are down to freezing, so at least some patchy frost to be found over that direction. From the Pioneer Park building, looking over the square and the courthouse, clear skies in Portland. The bricks are dry and a little cool to touch, but not bad. 46 degrees, calm winds being reported. Hillsboro 43, Camas now down to 41, Gresham 42. Remember, we talked about the fact that with these clear skies coming to start this week, we would see light wind areas get down to about 40. Well, that has happened this morning, but where the wind is blowing just a little bit, doesn't take much, 5-10 miles per hour, Estacada 57, Silverton 56. Here is the temperature March this morning. This shows 66 at noon and then up into the 70s by 2 o'clock. Remember yesterday how nice it turned out? It was 74 in Portland. Generally, wherever you are here on the west side, temps will be 2 to 3 degrees warmer than yesterday. So this shows upper 70s from Salem down to Eugene, mid 70s Kelso, Portland, and 70s at the coast with a clear sky today. And then nice, but 60s generally in eastern Oregon. 7-day forecast. 3 days of really great weather, 70s again tomorrow, 67 Wednesdays, we start to cool off. And then we have rain chances starting Thursday, and that is your update. Here's Chris.
Hooray for Monday and Tuesday weather. Wow, that looks good. All right, let's go ahead and get you out the door. The Banfield is our biggest slow spot right now, and that said, it's actually better now than it was just a few minutes ago. In any event, this is what it looks like coming out of the Hollywood district. A little brake tapping there. The drive from Wilsonville, there's northbound I-5 down there. Still not in too bad a shape. In fact, not in too bad a shape. How about 18 minutes to get you in from there to downtown? Heads up in the gorge, the East Viaduct closure near Multnomah Falls. That closure actually starts today, so ODOT doing some significant maintenance work on that historic Columbia River Highway. To access Multnomah Falls, the parking lot from I-84 will be open, but the east access from the East Viaduct, again, that is a no-go starting today into the spring of 2026 as that gets a major facelift. Drew, back to you.
All right, take a listen to this guy, Chris.
I had my daughter and son-in-law pacing me. They were helping me out a lot, so it went really well.
That man is 71 years old and still running strong. We're going to have more on him and some of the other local runners who took on the challenge of yesterday's Portland Marathon in just a moment. We also want to let you know that this is the United Way's Community Impact Week. You can volunteer with others across the Portland and Vancouver area all this week, supporting local nonprofits through Hands On Greater Portland. That's the United Way's volunteer program. Sign up at unitedway-pdx.org.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
The annual Portland Marathon took over city streets on Sunday morning, and that means all these people that are running behind me here are probably sore on this Monday morning. Organizers say it was a sold-out event with a much bigger turnout than in years past. KGW's Jay Coulter has more for us from the finish line.
The longest I'd ever run before today was 8 miles.
Tougher than I thought.
Runners were all smiles Sunday after finishing up the Portland Marathon and half marathon.
I ran a course record. I ran it the past 2 years and got 2:59 and then 2:58, and then this time I ran 2:47, I think. So pretty good.
This was 20-year-old Micah Margison's fourth marathon, and he's qualified for Boston. But he was most excited to have his fiancée run the half while he ran the full.
I love you.
He met her at the finish line with flowers.
I saw him twice, and it was so great. That gave me so much more energy than I thought I had.
I'm really proud of her. I told her last week that I'd be proud of her no matter what happened.
But first-time racer Malia Harvey wasn't only doing it for Micah.
Well, my dad used to run the half, and he passed away. And so I really wanted to honor him, and I really wanted to do it. And then I talked one of my friends into it, so I'm like, shoot, now I have to do it. And then he signed up for the marathon, so I felt like there's no turning back.
And Malia wasn't the only first-timer. 71-year-old Glenn Buck ran his first half marathon Sunday.
Probably the first 6 miles is okay, and then coming up that hill near the end, and what was it, mile 8? That was tough. But okay, I had my daughter and son-in-law pacing me. They were helping me out a lot, so it went really well.
And first-time racer Hannah Anderson decided the night before that she was going to do it.
Signed up a while ago. I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. I haven't really trained, have a bad knee. And then last night I was like, I signed up. I'm going to run it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to see how it goes. And it was good.
Organizers say the race had nearly 3,000 more runners this year versus last year, which they say is likely due to this year's Nike sponsorship. KGW also drove by the section of the race near the ice facility, but didn't see any disturbances. Jay Coulter, KGW News.
Up 360! All the way.
This never gets old, right?
No, I can watch it all day.
Fair time in North Carolina over the weekend, and besides all the rides and the fair food, the fair also featured that fairy phenomenon known as Twiggy, the water skiing squirrel. So that right there, what you're looking at is Twiggy number 11, the 11th member of a long line of water skiing squirrels over the years who have been named Twiggy. This one's real name, by the way, is Da Baby, D-A-B-A-B-B-Y, Da Baby. So, Rod, you had a question earlier. Right about 18 minutes ago. You asked, can squirrels swim? Eileen Morissette, one of our esteemed producers here on the Sunrise Show, got to digging. And she found out that squirrels can, in fact, swim.
They can.
If needed.
They look to me to be a critter that doesn't like being wet. I mean, that's just an impression I have.
Yeah, I don't know where you draw these conclusions.
I don't know either. I mean, they can water ski?
Yeah.
I probably can't do that anymore.
Anymore? You used to be a water skier.
You know, when I was younger, I was quite the guy, you know. Are you buying this, Drew Carney? Drew, I think Drew needs pictures. He needs proof. All right. Here's our satellite picture. We have clear skies over Oregon and Washington. We got weather systems parked way out here. And at this point, it looks like we are all dry until we get into Thursday. And that will kick off our next run of some rain, some rain, some rain, and some rain. All right. Beautiful today. No matter where you go, you're just going to find clear skies. We are tracking east winds today, and we're keeping an eye on our next rain chance, which is Thursday. So this shows that Thursday daytime through 6 p.m., generally less than 1/10 of an inch of showery weather coming into the west side and then up into the Cascades. This does show some convection Thursday coming up into central Oregon. This pattern with rain returning to some degree that begins Thursday and goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is from an upper level low that's going to park out here. So it's that south wind trajectory that could produce some thunderstorms, which is what you're looking at here in central Oregon. That's why all of a sudden Prineville could be a spot that gets 64 1/100ths of an inch. And then we add showery activity Friday, we add it Saturday, and here's 9 p.m. Saturday. Still, rain amounts not anything to overly write home about here on the west side, generally about 1/4 inch of rain all total or less. It shows a little bit more down in the South Valley into Eugene, and you've got some decent measurable rainfall. La Grande, that's probably a thunderstorm explosion at some point, 9/10 of an inch showing up. So again, that's our weather pattern that begins Thursday. Back to today, and we'll see this again tomorrow. It's a perfectly clear sky start. Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City, 45 degrees, light winds. Here is a pretty pinkish to orange sky from the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha. 46 degrees, calm winds. What a fabulous day to be out working or playing. No frost, you know, on the grass. I mean, we start thinking about that in the coming weeks, but temperatures are holding at 40 or better this morning. This is Camas Meadows. Light winds being reported out over the golf course in Camas. The Dow's 40. Here's our freezing zone. Bend, frost being reported. Burns, Baker City, also some frost being reported. 23 is your temperature now. All right, so at the coast, what a day. Pretty much identical weather to the valley. How about 76 degrees in Pacific City? Here's the gorge. Winds east, not overly strong. It generally looks like even in the windy spots, gusts will hold in the 30s and stay shy of 40 miles per hour. Hood River 72. Valley upper 70s today. Not record stuff, but really warm for this time of the year. Corvallis 79. Salem 78. Portland goes 77, 76. 76, pardon me. Wednesday, we just cool off because we lose the east wind and we get a west breeze, 67. And there's that rain pattern returning starting Thursday. Here's Chris.
Week, Rod. That looks awesome. All right, let's get you out the door. The drive actually not in too bad a shape. We can do a lot worse than this on a Monday morning. I-5 from Clark County. It's slow but moving. You hit the Expo Center, it slows a little bit more. Right now, our speed sensors show that's probably the slowest stretch of I-5 right now. That said, less than 20 minutes to get you in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge is pretty typical, or maybe even a little bit better than normal for this hour of a Monday morning drive. I-84 westbound, earlier crash out near the I-5 split. That's out of the way, but the drive is thick coming in through the Hollywood district. There's the live look right now near the 28th Avenue overpass and the trip in from Troutdale. Believe it or not, it's actually dropped a little bit in the last few minutes. Now we're under 20 to get you in from Marine Drive to the I-5 split. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
In world news this morning, there's an effort underway on Mount Everest to rescue nearly 1,000 hikers who got trapped on the mountain after a blizzard. NBC's Camilla Bernal has the details.
A desperate rush to rescue hundreds of hikers stuck near the world's tallest mountain. A blizzard left nearly 1,000 people trapped on Tibet's eastern slope of Mount Everest, according to Chinese state media.
I'm sure there's a sense of urgency. It's all hands on deck.
Freezing temperatures and heavy snow putting local villagers and rescue teams on a race against the clock. Alan Arnett is a mountaineering coach who has climbed Mount Everest.
It's going to be a massive human effort in order to reach those people.
While some have already been rescued, many still reportedly stuck at an altitude of 16,000 feet. Hiker Chen Gu Shuang made it out, but some in her group still recovering from hypothermia. She says the unexpected snowstorm was really frightening, adding she worried that lightning might strike their camp and kill them. The monsoon causing snowfall Friday evening and Saturday, also bringing heavy rain to neighboring Nepal. The army called in for rescues. Landslides and flash floods have killed at least 44 people, according to authorities.
Normally, we don't see this type of heavy disaster happening this time of year, especially a blizzard of this magnitude.
But Arnett says when you're approaching Everest, you have to be prepared for everything. Camila Bernal, NBC News.
Coming up in our next half hour of the Sunrise Show, more from the South Waterfront after a federal judge blocked all National Guard troops from any state from deploying here to Portland.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
We are coming up on 7:29 on your Monday morning drive, and it's not all that bad out there right now. I-5 southbound, a little slow through North Portland, but we can do worse than this for your Monday morning drive. It's about 20 minutes or so to get you in from Main Street south to the Fremont Bridge. Over on the east side, I-84 westbound traffic a little tight coming out of the Hollywood district as well. But again, here too, the drive not looking all that bad. 20 minutes now, get you in from Troutdale to the I-5 split. Rod?
Well, everybody's dealing with the sunshine out there. We have clear skies across all of our state. It's going to be 70s today at the coast and here in the valley. Here's the rising sun from our Chehalem tasting room camera out in Sherwood, 48 degrees. It is a cool start, as you would expect. It's October, clear skies, right? So if you don't have any wind, you're certainly well down to the 40s. This shows now 41 in Camas, 43 out in Hillsboro, 43 up in Scappoose, and 46 degrees in Salem. It is a nice day coming up. Our bus stop weather shows 66 degrees at noon, and then it'll be mid-70s when the kids get out of school later today. Again, beautiful weather. This warm pattern continues tomorrow. We'll still be dry in the 60s on Wednesday.
All right, we kick off the 7:30 half hour of the Sunrise Show on this first Monday of October. Talking about December because we are already gearing up for this year's Great Toy Drive. Wow. Seriously, now is actually the time to sign up and help us collect toys this year. Whether you own a local business, you're part of a local organization, maybe you're throwing one of those big holiday parties.
Yeah.
You can definitely help us out. Go to kgw.com/toy, sign up, and we will send you the official Great Toy Drive collection kit. So there you go. That's our request this morning. Sign up.
May I do a shout out? The Rose City Putters. These lovely ladies watch our show. The old Rose City public golf course, city golf course here in Portland, and they collect toys every year.
Very cool.
And they bring them. I did a live shot with them several years ago. But yeah.
If China Green were sitting here, she'd say, "Good morning, Rose City Putters."
She'd do it a lot nicer than that, probably. But
yeah, China's off. Chris is here with traffic. Rod's got your weather right now.
And we have gorgeous conditions. All of our cameras showing clear skies. There's the rising sun just poking over the hill and kind of illuminating in orange with the camera iris there from the Chehalem Tasting Room out in Sherwood, 48 degrees. Big story today as you look at valley temps is that it's going to be in the 70s at the coast and here in the valley. 51 out in Troutdale, 48 Westland, 43 Hillsborough. So far, we've seen some areas report 10 to 15 mile per hour winds, but much of the area has calm winds. Salem, 46. Has to be a bit of a breeze here. Silverton, Estacada, which would be why you folks are in the 50s. So to the bus stop we go. Jacket morning, right? We're in the 40s, but by noon, outdoor recess, that's going to feel great, 66. And then when the kids get out of school, it's going to be 76. Just a little bit warmer than yesterday's 74. Here's Chris.
Almost a little hot for October. Hey, if you're taking advantage of the nice weather, heading to Oregon's biggest tourist attraction, Multnomah Falls, know this. This work was postponed a week, but ODOT now has added the East Viaduct. So this is east of Multnomah Falls, between Multnomah Falls and the Oneonta Gorge trailhead. That's going to be closed for the next 6 months as that area gets a major facelift. You will still be able to access the falls from the Interstate 84 parking lot at exit 31, but just know that the East Viaduct, that closure starts today for the next 6 months. Okay. Pardon me. I think I covered the microphone. Thank you very much, Drew Carty. I-5 southbound running a little slow from Main Street. Not bad, but 20 minutes gets you in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. The slowest part of that drive right now is through North Portland. Banfield running a little thick as well. But so far, no major freeway trouble out there early on this Monday morning. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. A court battle continues between the Trump administration and Oregon leaders over the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. That debated deployment would appear to center around the city's ICE facility where protests have been going on since June. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live outside the facility. So Thomas, it was pretty quiet earlier. What's the activity level like there right now?
Yeah, well, Drew, it's interesting. You can see a little bit of police lights behind us, but that has nothing to do with anything related to the ICE facility or protest. That's actually just a little fender bender that occurred maybe about 45 minutes ago. If we pan left outside the ICE facility itself, there's really not much going on. It seems like there might be a couple of people who, I don't know if they're waiting for a commute or if they're looking to actually begin a protest, but right now, very, very quiet, very peaceful as it's been all morning long. If we continue to pan left, though, you can see that there are tents. There is a little campsite set up among protesters where it seems like they have food, they have medical supplies, they also have a couple of tents down there, and it seems like throughout the morning, people have been there, so possibly some people spending the night there as well. Last night, our crews did see some altercations. An arrest was made, one by Portland police, and the use of pepper balls and tear gas on the crowd by federal officers happened as well. Our crews also saw a fight break out among protesters and counter-protesters. One protester appeared to be knocked unconscious. Portland police and medics rushed to assist them. The Trump administration is using all of this as a justification for sending troops to Portland. Sunday, the Portland branch of the FBI says they made 5 felony arrests over the past 24 hours. Since June, a total of 100 arrests out here outside. This did happen back in June, though. Saturday, federal officers appeared to take a more aggressive stance toward demonstrators, firing tear gas and pepper balls into the area. During a press conference yesterday, Mayor Keith Wilson says he's planning to file a civil rights lawsuit against several federal agencies.
Indiscriminate use of impact munitions to disperse an otherwise peaceful crowd. Indiscriminately discharging pepper spray. We saw a sniper on the roof of the ICE facility. This is not what we typically look at in crowd control or peaceful protests. This is an aggressive approach trying to inflame a situation that has otherwise been peaceful.
Now, Mayor Wilson went on to say that federal agents, whether they be DHS or ICE, along with the possible deployment and push for deployment of National Guard troops, is just inflaming tensions and antagonizing protesters who he says have been lawful. This all is coming here at the ICE facility while there's also a court battle playing out. A judge granted a motion blocking the deployment of National Guard troops, both in Oregon and from other states, from coming here to Portland. Drew?
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us this morning outside the Portland ICE facility. Meanwhile, park rangers say training for their new recruits is on hold because the Trump administration is putting a greater emphasis on training new ICE agents. Rangers say that means there could be fewer of them available to respond to emergencies at national parks. Bridget Chavez with her sister station in Seattle has more.
When you call for help in a national park, it's usually a law enforcement ranger who shows up first. But a new federal decision that halts new rangers' training could mean fewer of them are there to answer.
Visitors are going to feel, especially those that get into some kind of trouble, are going to feel the consequences of that.
Bill Wade understands the challenges firsthand. He's a former ranger and superintendent of Shenandoah National Park in Virginia.
Well, we know there's already a short staffing of law enforcement rangers in national parks throughout the system. And so this would just add to the difficulty.
The Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers known as FLETC is where new rangers go for law enforcement training. FLETC says its top priority is onboarding 10,000 ICE enforcement and removal operations personnel and 1,000 Homeland Security investigations agents by the end of this year.
Well, as a former ranger,
Wade, who is now the executive director of the Association of National Park Rangers, says they first heard about the postponements from rangers who were supposed to attend trainings.
it's really a damaging thing to all of us who have worked in parks, and certainly even more so to the employees who are still working in parks.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the Department of the Interior said the claim that classes have been widely canceled is false. The Department of Interior is committed to strengthening public safety across our national parks. Officials say postponed trainings will be rescheduled as early as fiscal year 2026, but gave no specific timeline. When we asked how many classes were delayed, how many vacancies exist, or what visitors should expect, their response was, quote, "We don't have anything additional to share at this time."
I think this overall, what I call the demolition of the National Park Service and the damage to the parks, is going to take years, if not decades now, to overcome.
Again, it was Bridget Chavez with her sister station in Seattle reporting. Meanwhile, back here in Portland, police say a man is dead after an assault last night downtown. Around 9 o'clock, just around 9 o'clock last night, officers arrived at the hospital to assist with a medical call. They say the man was hurt during the assault that happened about an hour earlier on Southwest 4th and Oak. He was pronounced dead a few hours later, despite life-saving efforts at the hospital. Portland police are also searching for the suspect or suspects behind a shooting that left a man with life-threatening injuries over the weekend. Officers say they were called to the area of Southeast 88th and Foster Road right around 5:30 Sunday morning. That's where they found a man sitting in a car with multiple gunshot wounds. They didn't make any arrests, but they're asking anyone with information about this to contact the Portland Police Homicide Unit. Coming up tonight here on KGW, Taylor Swift makes a special guest appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Last week, of course, she released her latest album, which had Swifties lining up to get one. NBC's Mark Barger has a preview of tonight's appearance with Jimmy Fallon.
I just am doing the album thing now, which is a big thing.
And big thing is an understatement for Taylor Swift's new album. The Swifties, who blew up social media and lined up for hours, bought 2.7 million copies of The Life of a Showgirl on Friday alone, more than Swift has sold in any single week of her career.
This album is a complete and total snapshot of what my life looks like right now.
And after making the publicity rounds in Great Britain,
please welcome Taylor Swift!
She is back stateside tonight with Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show.
When this new album was announced, I think we just called everybody and said, please consider us.
The fact that Swift has made 6 previous visits with Fallon did not hurt.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Natalie.
I think I've just known her for years, and I think we've always had her on the show. I know her mom really well.
That connection with Swift's mom paid off in 2019.
I'm not asleep. My mind is alive.
When Mom shared her video of Swift's comical recovery from LASIK surgery.
Don't be mad at me. I made some calls.
Oh my God.
So to watch her just skyrocket and just become the legend that she's now become, it's pretty cool.
Taylor Swift.
Swift will also be Seth Meyers' one and only guest on Late Night Wednesday, when her fans are very likely to be one of the topics.
I'm always listening and I'm always lurking and I'm always listening to their opinions and their theories.
As Showtime continues for the showgirl, Mark Barker, NBC Entertainment.
All right, Taylor Swift tonight on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Meanwhile, her fiance will also be busy tonight, Rod.
Yes.
Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs playing on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. So have we asked Taylor Swift to be on our show? Maybe we haven't asked.
I personally haven't asked.
I haven't asked either.
Okay, well, one of us should ask. You're right.
One of us should ask.
You ask, okay?
Oh, you do it.
Whether you do it? Okay, fine.
Here it is, our Timberline camera. This is one I'm looking south of Jefferson, clear skies over the Cascades, good visibility. You can see Three Sisters picking up right there. I really wanted to show you what's in the foreground, and that's the breezes on the trees. Temperature 42 degrees, 17 east wind gusting to 27. This isn't the east wind day, but we don't think it ever gets crazy. In fact, our modeling is showing even out in the gorge, the West Gorge, winds generally expected to stay under 40 miles per hour. So some good news there. And we have mainly light winds along the Columbia coming into Multnomah County. Here's Vancouver, the Springs at the waterfront, looking from Clark County, of course. And you can see Mount Hood in the distance and the beautiful sunshine. 43 degrees and calm wind at Pearson Airfield, which is literally just on the other side. The the east side of I-5 there. All right, the Pioneer Park building downtown. Yeah, there's a courthouse flag. Just a little movement, not much. 46 degrees is the temperature. Trinity is today's KGW Dog of the Day on what's going to be a beautiful Monday. Dog of the Day at kgw.com means email address. Send us your dog's photo and name. Your dog will become our Dog of the Day. Okay, so notice here, 70s coast, 70s valley. Really great. You get that sometimes with an east wind. Very similar temps to the coast to the valley because moderation of the Pacific waters is totally shut off. We've got clear skies statewide, nearing 70 in Bend, and then 60s out across eastern areas. Some of you central and eastern Oregon waking up to a little frost on the ground this morning. 76 in Portland today and tomorrow. 67 Wednesday, still really nice. Just a west breeze will cool us down. Thursday, day one of our next little run of each day getting some rain at times, and that's your update. Here's Chris.
This morning on our Monday morning actually being pretty kind to us, as in it could be a lot worse than this. I-5 southbound, whoops, what happened there? Okay, a little slow coming across the interstate bridge, but again, on a Monday we could do worse than what it looks like here. Your southbound commute does hit the brakes though pretty hard from the Expo Center the rest of the way down into the Rose Quarter. So with that in mind, Main Street to the Fremont Bridge averaging about 22 minutes at last check. I-205 looks just fine over the Glen Jackson Bridge this morning. We'll switch gears though and give you the other inbound times. Looks like the sunset's starting to creep up a little bit. Of course, you've got it's the time of the year where the rising sun angle coincides directly with that eastbound drive coming up over the Sylvan Hills. So some sunshine slowdowns there. Right now we got 30 minutes or so to get you in from Hillsborough. Drew?
Thank you, Chris.
I think it beats Multnomah Falls, to tell you the truth.
Ooh, that's a pretty big claim. Pretty big claim on a Monday morning. Coming up here after the break, we're going to take you to Lane County for a trip to check out Salt Creek Falls.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
This morning, we're heading to Lane County to check out the second tallest waterfall in Oregon. It's the focus of a new edition of Let's Get Out There. KGW's resident Get Out There guide, John Goodwin, brings us more from Salt Creek Falls.
Tucked away in the Willamette National Forest, there's a crash off Highway 58 you've got to see.
You might have driven past the sign and not known what you were missing out on.
If you want to stretch your legs or spend the day, Salt Creek Falls, about 90 minutes southeast of Eugene, has something for everyone.
It has an accessible viewpoint of the waterfalls, which is amazing for someone who might be using a mobility device or a wheelchair.
Samara Phelps is the president and CEO of Travel Lane County, standing just beyond the spray of Oregon's second highest waterfall.
You have the opportunity to have an amazing view from 50 yards off the parking lot. The water is phenomenal. The whoosh of the waterfall, I love that.
If you're up for more, several hiking trails await the adventurous. A 4-mile loop gets you to Diamond Creek Falls.
It's a very different kind of falls. It's a fan waterfall. It's only maybe 90 feet tall, but it's wide and it comes over the basalt.
Just came down for the day. I love Salt Creek Falls. I've been here before several years ago.
Tom and his hiking buddy Rosie are from Bend. Tom says Salt Creek Falls is one of the best in Oregon.
I think it beats Multnomah Falls, to tell you the truth, because it's a wider falls and I think it's got more water coming over it.
50,000 gallons per minute. This is one of my favorite views because it's just so big. When you're in the forest along the highway, you don't realize how deep this canyon is. Then you get up on top of it and you're like, wow, we're really in mountains and that creek is really far down there. We went from the raging to the like fairy wonderland version.
And you kind of get hung up with doing things in your own local area, and I think it's nice to get out.
No matter which falls you walk to, this special spot is a great place to recharge.
It is the opportunity to be fully present in one place. And what is better than that than at a waterfall?
At Salt Creek Falls, I'm John Goodwin. Let's get out there.
I want to go. I was not familiar. You said you were not familiar.
25 years I've lived here. I've never heard of Salt Creek Falls. I like those steps that were kind of built into the log.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yes. Yes. On the heels of the Portland Marathon, I may do those steps on that log someday. Yes,
right,
I may
good
get
for
out
you.
there. Gorgeous day, my goodness gracious. The only thing we're tracking as forecasters, the east wind, which so far isn't doing much. We've got mostly light winds in the valley to 10-mile-per-hour wind, just enough to move the flags around a little bit. But the wind direction overall is east. You can see it northeast in Newport, east in Astoria, east in the Dalles, and that is paving the way for clear skies and temperatures that at the beach today will be in the 70s, just like the valley. What a day, what a day, what a day. All right, what about the wind? I did check the usual spots, Crown Point and the Columbia River Gorge, Corbett as well, both gusting under 30, but more than 20 miles per hour this morning. You can see the arrows bringing in the east wind, generally speaking. This does show a 32 mile per hour spike early this afternoon in Troutdale and shows some splintering gusts. It could get up to about 20 miles per hour so at times in parts of the valley and off of the coast. So that's noticeable, but not bad. Again, everybody in Oregon and Washington clear. Here's our Snook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. We were watching the setting harvest moon earlier this morning. We're going to see that full harvest moon again tonight, by the way. 45 is the number there. All the coastal cameras are just perfectly clear. Here's clear sky. Same county. This is south of Depot Bay, the inn at Ottercrest, looking up to the north along the coast. Just absolutely gorgeous. And here's our state capital. Beautiful weather. And look at all the fall colors starting to show up right around our region. Just a really pretty October view there. 46, cool morning. Here are the other numbers. Kelso, you're now down to 41. Eugene's 42, Portland down to 46, along with Salem, 40 in the Dalles. And then you have the freezing frosty spots, Bend, Burns, John Day, Baker City. There are frosty reports coming in from that part of our state. Valley numbers today, despite the chilly start, all the way up into the upper 70s. Corvallis 79, Salem 78. If you don't typically get an east wind, today you will just see light winds and really nice. Battleground 78. Look at that. Longview 76, Vancouver 76. Mid-70s at the coast. So here west of the Cascades, temps will be really uniform. Tomorrow, whatever east wind we end up getting will slowly fade away the back half of tomorrow. And by Wednesday, we're in a cooler west flow. That's the reason from the 70s to the 67-degree Wednesday high. But these are 3 really nice days. And then we're back into a somewhat wet pattern with each day having a decent chance of manageable rainfall at times starting Thursday. And that does continue into the upcoming weekend. So take advantage of today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, Chris. Really nice.
You want to go launch that tee shot into the teeth of the east wind? So we've got drivers that are heading into that easterly sunrise, and I think that's the biggest problem out there. And if that's the biggest problem we have on a Monday morning, we're doing all right. 30 minutes though, the drive in from Hillsborough. Here's what it looks like at the Sylvan Hill. As drivers make their way up from 217 to Skyline Boulevard, the sun hits you right in the face, right? So I think that's the reason for the slowing on that side of town. Otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. Out in the gorge, westbound I-84, it's just getting word of a crash, though, near Multnomah Falls. The highway remains open, but there is an emergency response headed that way. And a reminder, today is day 1 of a 6th-month closure of the East Viaduct of the Columbia River Highway. This is out near Multnomah Falls. So if you're trying to get to the falls, you can access it from I-84, but you cannot from the historic Columbia River Highway east of the falls. You'll have to use I-84 between now and the spring of 2026. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. We have a warning this morning from U.S. Senator Patty Murray. She says millions of Americans could pay more for health care because of President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. Her explanation right after this quick break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On weather impact days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
As the government shutdown continues, one of Washington's senators is calling attention to what she describes as a health care crisis that threatens to shut down small businesses. U.S. Senator Patty Murray says the president's Big Beautiful Bill did not continue health care tax credits that millions of people get under the Affordable Care Act. She says that means health care costs will more than double, especially for small business owners and self-employed workers who are likely to get health care through the Affordable Care Act.
Those hikes are going to mean hard decisions. Some will have to offer plans with worse benefits, and their employees will have to pay higher premiums. Some will stop offering coverage to their employees altogether. And many small businesses, which account for half of job growth, will have to stop hiring. Many will have to let people go.
Senator Murray was joined by Oregon hospital leaders who say cuts to the Affordable Care Act also threaten people with insurance. They say since hospitals will see more uninsured people who can't pay for their care, those with insurance will likely shoulder the additional costs. Again, the government shutdown is now in its 6th day. Meanwhile, the Sunrise Show continues live at 8 o'clock on KGW Plus with more on President Trump's efforts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Over the weekend, a federal judge blocked Oregon's National Guard or members of any state's National Guard from deploying here. Again, more on that story coming up next hour. The Sunrise Show will continue in 3 minutes.